I'm really excited that the race has finally come to Southern California because California is a long state, so I still say that, Sacramento or Northern California is still home, but now we're really even closer to home now.
It's a really special race to me because this is my home state and my friends and family get to come out and watch me race, and I just love the courses we have here, and just racing in California is a beautiful thing.
The area is beautiful here in California. 2 years ago I raced here in California. For me it was a really nice experience, and I'm happy to be back now.
I'm pumped to be home. It's gonna be a good race.
A windy start to the Amgen Tour of California women's race, empowered with SRAM, as the riders race towards the Pacific Ocean here on stage 1 into Ventura, California. Brad Soner here with Laura Winter to begin the Amgen Tour of California women's race as we take a look at an incredible field assembled here in California. Laura, first, let's talk about some of the GC threats. There are a lot of heavy hitters this week.
Absolutely, Brad. Yes, this is the first time the race has actually come here to Southern California. It's the hardest ever, the longest ever. As such, it's attracted the strongest ever field as well, and you can see that in the list of champions we've got. 2018 champion Katie Hall, she is back to defend her title, but Anna van der Breggen is also here, Olympic world champion. She won the 2017 race by just 1 second from Katie Hall, and they are now teammates. So expect to see, I think, those two go head to head up that Mount Baldy climb for day 2. It's going to be an incredible battle between them. You've also got as well Taylor Wiles. She was second last year. She's back this year, and her team, her new superpower in the world peloton, Trek Segafredo, they're going to be all in to try and get her one step up the podium.
All of the GC riders looking forward to the big climb up Mount Baldy on stage 2. The sprinters were looking forward to stage 1, hoping that it would be a field sprint, but this wind may change things.
I think this wind will really split things up today. I don't think it will be a big bunch field sprint. I think what we're more likely to see is perhaps a select group going to the line. You've got a really tough climb with 5k to go. Sprint teams will be looking to neutralise the attacks. The likes of Trek Segafredo for Lotte Lepista, and also Team Sunweb as well for our national US champion Corinne Rivera in the Stars and Stripes. But the GC teams, the likes of Boels Dolmans, will be looking to send some solo riders up the road, and I think Anna van der Breggen will be the one to watch today. The Ryan sisters, though, of course, native to Ventura here, racing now on the roads they grew up riding as kids. That's added motivation for sure. What can they do today?
We had a chance to catch up with the Ventura native Ryan sisters earlier this morning.
Alexis Kendall here for the first time at the Tour of California in Southern California. What does it mean to both of you to be here racing in your hometown?
I mean, it's a huge opportunity for us, to be sisters, to be racing in our hometown, in our home country. I think we're both super excited.
Just goosebumps, and we're ready to go, and we're really happy to have our whole family and friends and fans here, and it's going to be extra gas in the tank for both of us.
Yeah, absolutely, a bit of extra added motivation. There's a big old climb, a hard climb, a couple of K from the finish. Who does this stage suit more, do you think, on paper?
Wait and see.
I think both of us are always afraid to say, I can beat her. No, I can beat her. So we're just going to go out there and duke it out on the climb.
Yeah.
Well, that was my next question was, okay, who is going to win here?
Guess you have to see who crosses the finish line first. We can't predict anything.
No, can't.
Best of luck, ladies. Enjoy today.
Thank you.
The Ryan sisters getting ready for 60 miles of racing through their hometown in Ventura with 5 options for QOM points today, including 4 Category 3 climbs and 1 Category 2 climb. But Laura, the most important climb of the day, maybe just before the finish.
Yeah, just 5k to go before the finish line. We see a really sharp, steep climb that is also the intermediate sprint as well, and then it's a fast ascent back down to the finish to the coastline in Ventura.
Not many turns inside the final few kilometers. That right-hander at 2 kilometers to go, and then the sort of right-hand bend into the finishing stretch. The big question will be the conditions and where the wind is coming from when the riders get to the finish line.
Stage 1 is looking like it's going to be a windy day, and that can definitely make for some exciting racing. I'm not sure which direction the wind will be yet, but I expect stronger teams to try to break the field apart in the wind and give their GC riders a little bit of an advantage going into stage 2.
It's a really dynamic stage. The sprint, you know, normally you think a sprint is flat, but it's on the top of a 1K climb that's actually pretty steep. So I think it'll be one last little roll of the dice there for some of the climbers to maybe get away. And then for some flatter sprinters like me, I have to survive a little bump like that. But yeah, that's something that actually really suits me, and I like finishes like that.
No easy days here at the Amgen Tour of California, but the riders will be rewarded with beautiful views every day, including the seaside town of Ventura.
Absolutely. The sun has come out today. It's an absolutely gorgeous place here on the coast. Of course, the first time the Women's Tour of California has come down to this area. Hills, ocean, sunshine. What more could you want?
Classic California surf town, but it was all about the bikes today as the riders took off earlier in the afternoon under already windy conditions, but those picked up throughout the day, so it was a big battle just to get to the front of the peloton in the first few kilometers.
Positioning will be crucial, even on these wide American boulevards. Positioning will be crucial in the bunch today. As you see the riders roll out of the finish line here in Ventura on their way, and all the big hitters there up at the front. Corinne Rivera in the stars and stripes of the national jersey. She is there in force, and what can she do today?
Rivera and her team looking to keep this race together, but there are a lot of riders in this field that want to take advantage of the lumpy profile out there today. 63 degrees the temperature out on course, and you can see the winds at 28 miles an hour coming out of the west here early in the day, so that'll be tough for the riders on the way back into Ventura.
Exactly. They're going to fly out of Ventura now. They've got a tailwind, they've got the wind on their backs, and it's going to be a very fast start indeed. But as it twists and turns, and indeed as they come back toward the finish line, it is going to be a big old headwind.
Show Air 2020 up on the front early on here, putting a couple of those dark blue jerseys up at the front of the peloton, trying to control things early, and it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of interest in any other teams trying to take over.
No, not for the moment. It looks like a relatively calm start, but do expect to see a few of the teams, the smaller teams, shall we say, who are going to look to get riders up the front of the bunch here. As we take a look at Taylor Wiles there, front and centre of your screen. She was second last year, and she's now with Trek Segafredo, a team on par with their men's squad. Parity, equality between their men's and women's teams, giving the riders the same opportunities, the same equipment, the same staff, exactly how it should be in women's cycling. And what can she do here? It'll be really exciting to see if she can step it up indeed as we begin the big climbing stages at Mount Baldy.
Looks like most of the major teams putting riders up on the front. You see Show Air 2020, and here goes Hagens Berman Superman sending somebody off the front. This looks like Leanne Ganser.
Well, this is their brand of racing, isn't it, Brad? We saw Hagens Berman Superman last year do exactly this. Every single stage, they race so aggressively. They really try to animate the racing, and that's what we're seeing right now. National Criterium champion out there in front, doing it on home soil as well.
Yeah, this is a team not afraid to make waves in the peloton. Incredibly aggressive racing in just about every race that they enter. Not afraid to go up against the big teams and really try to throw some big punches out there on the road. Looks like she's going to be joined by Tibco, SVB, and Rally. So 3 American teams finding their way up into the breakaway.
And there they are, the rainbow stripes, the reigning Olympic world champion Anna van der Breggen, winner of this race in 2017. And indeed, there's hardly a race she hasn't actually won. 5 times Flèche Wallonne, 2 times Liège-Bastogne-Liège. She is the queen of the Ardennes here back on American soil. As we just see Omer Shapira there, the Israeli national champion, riding for Canyon SRAM, putting a little dig in on the front, closely matched by a drops rider though.
Very aggressive racing early on here. We've seen a lot of attacks going out of the peloton, and these are the latest to go. Look how long this field is. Laura, this tells me that they are driving the pace up at the front here.
Yeah, things are going quick here, and the riders are really looking to put the peloton under pressure to begin to shell some riders out the back, reduce that bunch coming to the finish line, and increase the chances for the sprinters, perhaps the rouleurs in that bunch, to cross the line first.
See a few riders using the opportunity to surge up here, again using the wide roads here in the United States, taking full advantage of the width of the pavement out here.
and another rider on the attack here. It looks like the green and blue of Hagens Berman Supermint. Once again, we have them attacking. It's brilliant to see, isn't it, how aggressive this team is.
Now, just one after another of these Hagens Berman Supermint jerseys. This is going to be Lindsay Goldman. You can tell by the signature head cock as she goes on to the attack. Goldman is so easy to spot when she goes solo off the front.
And you know, Goldman is a fascinating rider. She's not just a bike racer. She's a mum, she's a business owner as well. She actually owns the team, Hagens Berman Supermint. A fascinating character within the peloton, and a slightly older rider. I hope she doesn't mind me saying that, but in her 30s, a 15-month-old daughter, and here she is out in front. We have to say, in really difficult conditions as well. There's a huge headwind, and she's got to really work hard now to try and build up, maintain this advantage.
Tough time to attack out in the open. Not a whole lot of shelter from the wind here as Goldman takes a look back. She's got to like what she sees behind her, though. She's done a nice job of opening up a relatively big gap early on here. So this is how you want to launch an attack, right, Laura? Make the jump early, get a good gap, and then settle in and establish your rhythm.
Absolutely, and don't look back. That's the important thing, and that's exactly what Lindsay is doing right now. Lindsay Goldman out in front here, and the peloton not looking too bothered by it. They seem pretty relaxed. You can tell by the way they've fanned out across the road there that there aren't any attacks flying off the front. They're happy to let this rider sit out there in the wind and perhaps mop up some Queen of the Mountain points as well.
Yeah, this is best case scenario for Goldman and the Hagens Berman Supermint team. They want the field to underestimate Goldman in hopes that she can stay out there and maybe catch this field off guard. Beautiful views off to the side here.
I don't think the bike riders will be enjoying them at this point, but there are absolutely stunning views, gorgeous scenery here as the road just begins to pitch up here, and we have some more effort coming from the legs of Goldman.
So now the field is going to have to start making the decision as to how long they want to let Goldman stay out here if they want anyone else to try to pick up some QOM points today. Maybe looking forward to later in the week, because right now Goldman is just going to sweep all those up.
Absolutely, she's managed to carve out an advantage.
On to the first big climb of the day. This is the Category 3 Casitas Pass Road Summit at 1.2 miles up to the top with an average gradient of 6.5%.
So Goldman taking maximum points there, and a real battle here for second and third. Marino in second. Anna Christian of Drops, the rider from the Isle of Man, taking third, picking up 1 point there in that classification.
Then it was on to the second climb of the day, back over Casitas Pass Road, this time the second summit, another Category 3 climb. A little bit shorter here, less than a mile, the average gradient of 5%. Goldman looked great here.
Goldman still out in front here and working hard. You can see just shifting in the body slightly. You can tell it's beginning to hurt. Once again, though, Drops putting a rider up the road. Eleanor Barker this time taking second in that one. Elizabeth Salazar third.
Drops and Astana clearly interested in this QOM competition. They're getting riders up to the front every opportunity that they have. So they may be chasing Goldman here to try to bring her back and get maximum points for some of their riders.
Exactly. You could see this battle for the QOM points actually nullify, neutralize Goldman's lead.
Goldman still away here on the third climb of the day, another Category 3 climb, this time going over Gobernator Canyon Road with a 4.6% average gradient. Laura, these climbs aren't that hard, but you do enough of them, they're going to take a lot out of the legs.
Exactly, and it's up and down. You can't settle into that rhythm. Christian there taking second on that climb, Warrack taking third, but now we're beginning to see the chase very much on, and Goldman being swallowed up here.
The field finally gets their sights on Goldman. A couple riders went across the gap. It looks like Show Air 2020 is there. And, well, this whole field's going to come back together. I don't know that they're going to be able to cause a split here.
Look at the debris in the road, though. The wind's really picking up here. They are going to make a big difference to how the race plays out today, to how the riders actually race it as well.
Back into the peloton with Chloe Tygart Owen of the Show Air 2020 team, making her comeback from a concussion. Long recovery for her after the Olympic silver medal. She suffered a major crash, and there were a lot of question marks, but she is back in full force here at the Amgen Tour of California.
And good to see she took the time out she needed. Concussion can be such a serious injury and very much invisible. So it's brilliant to see that she's back in the peloton and most importantly, healthy as well. Lizzie Holden there of Drops on the attack once again. Drops and Hagens Berman Superman really the animators so far in this race.
Yeah, no surprise. The two big instigators so far today pick up the pace again just as they feel the speed starting to drop. Drops puts the rider up on the front, and Hagens Berman Superman joins in on the party as well. Into the fourth climb of the day, the most difficult, a Category 2 here, back over the Casitas Pass Road summit, but over the other side at a 5.5% gradient. This is a long one, too, at 4 kilometers. Moreno takes maximum points with Anna Christian second behind her.
Notably though, Katie Hall was up there, so Boels-Dolmans are now beginning to apply the pressure here in the hope to really split this race up. Once again though, Drops are up there in this QOM competition. Brilliant to see, but this one is going to be taken, I think, by Marino on the front there for Astana. She takes points. Anna Christian is also up there. She takes 2 points. Second place, Olga Zablinskaya is third.
Pretty clear that Moreno and Christian came looking for QOM points. They got what they came for today. That'll be a really interesting battle to watch the rest of this week.
Anna van der Breggen then, 2017 champion and of course world champion, just making her way back up to the peloton as we see teammate Chantal Black, knowing that van der Breggen is safely back in the bunch, really beginning to apply the pressure here. The Dutch national champion, of course, 2017 world champion as well. She knows how to turn it on and make the peloton hurt.
All right, so with all the major climbs behind him, now Boels-Dolmans turns on the gas on the front and lifts the pace. So things starting to get really difficult up here at the front as the speeds pick up. And remember, they're still battling that stiff wind that's been plaguing this peloton all day.
We do have one solo rider though out in front. One rider has made a break for it here. Trek Segafredo are trying to bring them back. Of course, they have Taylor Wiles in their midst. They have Lizzie Deignan as well. And it is Olga Zablinskaya, then 3-time Olympic medalist. 2 of those medals coming in the time trial. She knows how to go for the finish line and make herself hurt to get what she wants.
Certainly putting the field on notice. Here's some panic from the Trek Segafredo team as Zablinskaya continues to build her lead. That gap going up over a minute at one point. So Zablinskaya, as you said, a great time trialist, a major threat for the stage win here today.
Yes, the Russian turned Uzbekistan rider served an 18-month ban for doping in 2014-15. Back on her bike now though, and out in front here, and she's carved out a big advantage for herself as well. Coming up to a minute 30 over the bunch. They are going to have to start moving. She does have a tailwind though as things stand at the moment, and that will quickly, rapidly become a headwind. And on your own, a solo rider, that will be a hard slog indeed. Rally UHC coming to the front now to try and bring this one back.
Yeah, now getting into the closing kilometers as we start to see the road kick uphill for one final time. Now, this was the big question. Could anybody launch on this climb, and would they be able to get away to solo into Ventura? But they've got to catch Zablinskaya first, and it looks like they'll be able to do that before they get to the top here.
Yeah, that gap has closed down so quickly. It's Ashley Moolman-Passio, South African national champion and really a climber extraordinaire. She's brilliant at climbing. She's the one driving the pace here to close down this gap. That group behind, though, has reduced significantly here.
Yeah, it looks like there's already been a brief selection, an initial selection here at the Amgen Tour of California women's race empowered with SRAM. So we'll call that about 30 riders trying to chase Olga Zablinskaya here, trying to get her before she gets to the top of this climb, because if Zablinskaya can get up and over that climb with enough time, she may be able to solo into Ventura.
The riders are on her wheel already. Game over for Olga Zablinskaya. You can see from the flag being held aloft by that fan making a quick and quite dangerous dash across the road there, that the winds are really playing a part here, and we have got riders now trying to get off the front once again.
Great racing, the classic counterattack right there. Caught Zablinskaya, went right by her and continued the power up on the front. Then things coming back together here as the road gets steeper, but you can see it caused a lot of chaos in the peloton.
There's damage done to the back of the peloton here. Look at the gaps that are opening up, and off the front there we talked about a counterattack, and this is an almighty attack from world champion Anna van der Breggen. Now going solo into a headwind, There are not many riders who can win from that position. I would say Anna van der Breggen is one who can. She's Dutch, she loves the wind. There's hardly a race she has not won. Tour of Flanders, Strade Bianche, all the big classics in Europe are in her palmares, and as indeed is the Tour of California. And will we see her pick up another title here? Well, she's certainly going the right way about it at the moment, as she is solo off the front, around about 20-second advantage, and hurtling towards the line here in Ventura.
This is about as bold as an attack gets, attacking off the front into a headwind in the final 4 kilometers, but no fear for the world champion, as Anna van der Breggen is looking very good here. Now, these riders will need to work together to bring van der Breggen back if they're going to catch van der Breggen before the end of the day today. They can't be racing against each other right now. These other teams need to band together to shut down this Boels-Dolmans move.
It's incredible to see. That's the remnants of the peloton. That is what this stage, the profile of this stage, the wind in this stage has done. Van der Breggen with a quick look over her shoulder, but she's such an assured rider. She's so confident in her form, in her own abilities, that she can simply time trial to the finish here. There aren't many riders I'd bet on to win in a headwind like this, but Anna van der Breggen looks pretty certain right now to be on for a win here.
Yeah, you can bet when they saw the world champion stripes of Anna van der Breggen rolling off the front, everybody wanted to go with her, but most riders probably just couldn't respond. Looks like more action here, another split back in the group.
Corinne Rivera notably in that split. This could have been a day for her today, indeed. The lumpy profile and the kind of bunch kick finish, but it looks like she is off the pace at the moment, as the groups are splintered all over the road here.
I believe that was the nearest chase to van der Breggen up the road there. You can see the remnants of that selection from earlier, and they're steadily dropping groups of 3 or 4 riders off the back of this group. Looks like another Boels-Dolmans rider up there at the front driving the pace here.
Well, you can see as soon as that gap opens in this headwind, it is so difficult. The energy you have to expend to actually close that gap up is enormous. Trek Segafredo then on the front here, trying to drive this chase back to Anna van der Breggen. And within that group, you've got the likes of Lizzie Deignan, Ashley Moolman-Pasio, Leah Kirchmann up there for Team Sunweb as well.
Taking a look over her shoulder as we go back up to van der Breggen into the closing meters here. This will be right around 500 meters to go. She makes this slight bend, and then it's into the start-finish stretch. Nobody behind her as she took one last look over her shoulder. At this point, Anna van der Breggen knows she has won Stage 1 of the Amgen Tour of California.
What a sensational performance, not just from her, but from her teammates as well, to put her in a position to be able to attack into a headwind and know full well she has got the energy, she has got the form to get to the finish line with, importantly, a really healthy advantage as well. Time enough to celebrate, too windy to take both hands off the bike, but Anna van der Breggen there with the win on Stage 1 of the Tour of California.
Here's the field sprint for second place lining up now. This is our Lennis Sierra second wheel trying to come around as she will surge to the line. The Astana rider gets pipped at the line, though. She'll have to settle for third place on the day. Close sprint there in the field sprint to sort out second and third, but all about Anna van der Breggen today, as she made that call easy for the stage win.
Elisa Balsamo then the Valcar Silence cycling team rider taking second place. Arlena Sierra of Astana in third. Lizzie Deignan, who we just saw sweep past van der Breggen there, she was fourth today, and one of the riders who was really doing a lot of the attacks, a lot of the driving to try and bring back Zablinskaya.
Defending champion Katie Hall greeting her new teammate Anna van der Breggen. This will be an interesting dynamic to watch this week with the world champion and the defending champion.
It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see these two battle it out for a title that van der Breggen won from her by just 1 second 2 years ago. They're now teammates. Katie Hall with a markedly different build-up to this race than we're used to, normally racing here on American soil, now spending a spring in Europe. But today was all about van der Breggen.
Oh, van der Breggen's going to have a nice lead heading into Stage 2 tomorrow as they conquer Mount Baldy.
Wild finish, huh?
Yeah, pretty wild. Got pretty windy in the finish there.
What happened in that last 5K?
Anna attacked around where the gate was on Faro Drive and went solo, and nobody could catch her. It's pretty awesome.
Well, a good first day for the Boels-Dolmans cycling team as Anna van der Breggen wins the day by 18 seconds. That'll put her in a 25-second GC lead after the bonuses heading into Stage 2 tomorrow.
Today meant to be one for the sprinters, but you look at this list here, that's a who's who in terms of climbers and world-class riders. A name though, Emma White, by and large a sprinter, riding on the track now. She's up there with the very best of them.
Anytime you can see a young rider riding with Anna van der Breggen, you know it's an impressive performance.
Congratulations, a really tough victory in very difficult conditions here at the finish line. Talk me through that attack with 4K to go or so.
Yeah, with 5K to go, there was a really beautiful climb, quite steep, different than the rest of the course. So actually, I'm really happy with my team today. Katie already pulled really hard on the climbs before, so we were hoping that it would be a hard race for everybody. And then, Chantal and Caroline did a great job to close the gap to Olga. And that was really tough. It was windy, so they tried to keep us in the front for the final climb. And then it was up to us to try and see how the legs are, and I felt pretty good, so I tried to do an attack. And really happy for me and my team that I could keep it until the finish line.
Yeah, because it's a strong headwind and it was about 20 seconds or so. This is ominous for the rest of the field, isn't it, with 2 hard stages and indeed Mount Baldy to come tomorrow. You've got Katie Hall on your team though. What's that game plan tomorrow on the slopes of Mount Baldy?
I think it's a really fair race here. This was one of the easiest days, so tomorrow is a different day. It's very long climbing, and you need to have good legs and feel good. Today is really nice to start with, but it's going to be tough for everybody tomorrow.
And winning in the Rainbow Stripes, you've had wins throughout the season, of course. Coming off a mountain bike season, though, so a slightly different prep to Tour of California. Still feel good to cross the line first in those Rainbow Stripes?
I think that always feels good, especially when you teamwork like this. The spirit is high. We're really happy to race here in California. I mean, this morning it was raining really hard, but now the sun is out. So it's a perfect way to start this stage race.
And of course, you're Dutch, so you love conditions like this, right?
The wind is fine, yes, that's not a problem.
Thank you so much, well done. Best of luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
An impressive ride from van der Breggen in yellow as the blue jersey for the Amgen Breakaway Most Courageous Ride of the Day goes to Lindsay Goldman for her solo attack off the front for the Hagens-Berman Supermint team. A well-earned jersey on this day.
Lindsay, most courageous rider today, a brilliant breakaway. Just how tough was it getting out there, staying out there in these conditions?
It was horrible. It was really, really, really terrible. It was truly awful. Like
a bad decision?
No, I don't regret it. It was rewarding, but it was also really terrible. Like unforgettably, 10 years from now, I'll be telling my kid about it, kind of terrible.
Well, a flawless first stage for Boels Dolmans, who see Anna van der Breggen leading the way here at the Amgen Tour of California women's race empowered with SRAM.
That'll do it for Stage 1 here at the Amgen Tour of California. The racing continues tomorrow with Stage 2 as the riders head up Mount Baldy. It's going to be a big one. We'll see you there.